Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red blast, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land under the free, and the home of the brave? Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to rename the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. This land of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, in the home of the
What's up, guys? How are you? Repeat back here, and it is Thursday night, and that means it's NNR Cup night. If you watch the truck race and the Xfinity race, you have an idea of what kind of racing we're in for. I'm only going to say an idea because there is a change for these guys tonight, and we're going to go over that here in just a little bit. But first off, I want to definitely introduce or reintroduce the guy that's in the booth with me tonight. Oh, Word Burton. Word, this is week number 3. We saw a more smoke get it done at Michigan. Last week we saw him get it done at Vegas. This week at Auto Club, kind of Michigan-esque. Back in the day when I used to be all about the setups and whatnot, I'd use a little bit of Atlanta and a little bit of Michigan to kind of build a pretty solid setup. And we'll have to see if Moore's got that same bit of a niche to get it done here in Atlanta. I'm sorry, Auto Club, rather. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm feeling real great, Pete. And I'll tell you what, tonight, I told you before we start the broadcast how excited I am to see this race in particular because we saw Michigan to open up the year, and the racing was incredible. It was close and it was multi groove for the most part. Now, the difference, from my understanding from tonight compared to when we were at Michigan, is that draft is going to be at its lowest setting, which, being honest, realistic Auto Club compared to what it's put in the game isn't really a pack racing style, with the exception of the early run. It's not like that the entire run. So this makes it a little bit more realistic. But in terms of tonight, what makes it a little bit better is that you're going to see a lot more cars trying to pick and choose their lanes, pick and choose their runs. When is it appropriate to make passes? Auto Club being arguably the widest track other than maybe Pocono's front stretch, going to all year long where you can make a variety style of passes. I'm eager to see how many times we see it 2x2, 3x3 tonight, simply because guys have draft and want to try to push each other all the way to the front.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. No low to no draft. As you said, there's going to be a whole lot of runs along the outside, where it seems like if you're on that outside along that long blue line, all the way down that back stretch and along the front stretch as well. But most of the time along the front stretch, people are really dipping down low in order to get the greatest speed along the bottom, slightly on the apron, bring it back up again to try to get a great arc into the corner. Again, just like Michigan. But here, it's the same, but it's not quite the same. You don't see the same amount of speed here at Auto Club that you see at Michigan. At Michigan, you're seeing speeds 215, 216, or at least the last time I ran a setup, that's kind of what it was like. I don't recall the top speed here now, but if you can get tucked into that person behind or that person in front of you, you're still going to have some kind of draft to pull off of. But it's going to be all about the drivers and what their capabilities are, what kind of preset they went with on the slide, and how aggressive they're willing to be with their tires. People that are out there in chat, or at least Laser, can you please let me know if you're seeing the game or if you're seeing the NNR symbol, please? Or Word, if you don't mind checking, can you please let me know if you're seeing the game or the NNR logo?
I'll have that for you in a moment, but I do want to say this as well, Pete. When we look at tonight, obviously you mentioned as well at the start of the broadcast, Moore, he's done a very good job to open up the year in terms of being successful. I'm very eager to see how he approaches a track like this here tonight because Moore's been very, very talented at these mile and a half tracks, and obviously, Auto Club, he's somewhat under that category, a little bit bigger than a mile and a half, more towards the 2 mile aspect of the super speedway. But it's really been one of those tracks that has the capability of having that feel like Michigan. And really, Moore was locked in just like Rose was in that first race of getting the feel for his car. I think, like you asked this question earlier, I think we're going to see early on Moore does in this race. If he struggles a little bit to find his handling, this may not be his day to maybe make it a three-peat. I would have to imagine he's going to be a competitor up in front because this track requires a little bit more slicing and dicing. And from what I've gotten to experience with him personally, that really fits his forte well, to say the least, Pete.
Yeah, Moore has been strong so far this year. Last year, like I said, he won this race this time last year, and again, won at Michigan. He won at Vegas, trying to go for that three-peat. He won the American Ethanol race last night here as well. There are a whole bunch of NNR guys in that race getting some laps, and they ran the strong. Draft effect. So it's gonna be a bit different for the guys, but at the same time, it's if they're all about trying to make the runs work when or if they actually get them, man, it very well could meet Amore's driving style, the same as the Aviator, same as Rowdy, same as CGMX Rose. I mean, there's going to be quite a few guys that always seem to rise to the top. As they say, the cream rises to the top. I can't say that about this NNR field because there's a whole lot of great drivers in here. But before I get too far away, I just want to go across that banner one more time on the top of the stream. Big thanks to Madison Rising for allowing NNR to use their version of the national anthem whenever we'd like. I reached out to them last season; they allowed us to use it then. I double checked with them again this season, and they were still fine. And I also found out that they allow a K&N league and iRacing to use their national anthem. Also, please go on over to MadisonRising.com or DaveBrayUSA.com. Give them both a follow. They could definitely deserve it, especially in the days we're in right now, where they're not out at the the arenas and everywhere else making money in in the flesh, right there in front of you. They're all having to do something a little bit different to still make ends meet with all this COVID crap going on. But again, Madison Rising, thank you very much for allowing NNR to use that. All right, so yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see if we see the top four that we've seen over the last 2+ weeks in the different series and other leagues that they've ran in, or it could be somebody new this week.
Well, and if it's going to be a new winner, I have a very strong feeling it's going to be CGMX Rose. Rose has had a very solid start to the year, and let's not forget to Michigan. He was pretty dominant, made a couple of mistakes. Remember, he started on pole, if I'm not mistaken, now for both of these races. And he's been up there, but mistakes have cost him. And obviously, I guess you could say Michigan wasn't really his mistake that cost him, but rather Asbill's mistake that ultimately wrecked him. But last week at Vegas, he was a little bit loose, started losing the control on the long run, slapping the car off the wall. Ultimately cost him the lead multiple times because you have to remember he led in both stage 1 and 2.
Yep.
I think this is a track that really fits, again, his style racing as well. And I think the Pro League race, for the most part, was actually pretty evident of that, with him having a strong run throughout most of the race. I think if there's anyone that has the upper edge, might I add, he really has the upper edge because he actually has seen this draft style, even though it was on custom setups, but he's seen it at this track in particular and knows where he has to be when it matters.
Yeah, talking about being where to be when it matters. We can't forget that CGMX Rose did win the season-ending race at Michigan, again a sister track to Auto Club, so he could be right up there. He's still got that same Fanatec equipment that he was given to work with during that Pro League. Now, I didn't know that during the Pro League they had the option to turn the draft on or off or low or normal. I didn't realize that until you had just told me. So he really could have a leg up over everybody else.
Yeah, he could have a leg up in that regard. And I think that anyone, for example, if I'm not mistaken, Jose as well, he's in this race tonight.
Yep.
He well has a leg up in that regard because he knows where this has to be. Now, I will say this. And I'm not going to say this race is going to be anywhere near based upon what we saw in Pro League because there's a lot more cars on the track, which allows there to be a lot more drafting capabilities. One thing we saw in Pro League in particular is that it was a bottom-feeding track, and a lot of guys were single file trying to stay in a draft line. I think, though, with more cars tonight, we're not necessarily going to see that. You're going to see the good mix of the top and bottom side. You're also going to see tires have a bigger impact compared to those on custom setups. These guys are going to have to find that balance early on because just like Las Vegas, Pete, last week, where these guys really started to lose their nose off the exits of corners on the long run, Auto Club is the same exact style. If you're just a little bit too loose early on, it's only going to get looser as the run goes on. These guys are going to have to be really picky on their adjustments and also really, really picky when they go into the race on what setups they want to go with.
Yeah, and in addition to that, if they're having to get their car to turn a little bit more because they don't have the effect of the draft, or uh, trying to come off the corner, having to use up that right rear just a little bit more to try to keep up with the person that may be in front of them that's a little bit higher on that slide. As you know, just as I do, these Cup guys, they are not very well known for cautions. So we're going to see, the normal stage breaks, but this is going to be probably one of the most interesting races that we've run so far. Michigan and Vegas was a whole lot of fun, but the low to no draft here is going to be a big, where are these guys going to take it kind of factor. If they don't have the car to be up front, you've only got a drafting car or a car that can stay in behind, maybe not exactly affected too much by that dirty air. We'll have to, man, again, there's just so many unknowns, and I think we're both going to kind of learn who's got what in the very beginning. And I'll tell you, these guys are now done with qualifying. They're all back in the lobby. They just finished up. Silent Killer, thank you very much for that sub, as well as Slowing in the Way. Thank you very much for that follow. Man, I love that gamer tag of yours. I'm waiting for that day where I can say you're slowing in victory lane. Talk about an oxymoron. But, man, I definitely appreciate both of you. Yeah, they're getting their last-minute instructions from Coe and his admin Stout Whiskey to kind of remind them again where they've got to peel off to go down pit road, signaling on the backstretch that they're going to be pitting that time, as well as where they can merge. And they are watching. There are people from the two lower series that are going to be out here on track, or I'm sorry, not on track, but in kind of keeping an eye on the race in spectator mode like us, watching these guys as they come off a pit road. If they cross that white line, chances are, and if they're caught, they've got a penalty waiting for them by the end of the race. And I don't know if it's going to be a point deduction or if they're just going to say, okay, you got to serve a drive-through, which could completely throw anybody's game off.
Dude, this is one of those tracks where I don't want to say it's a hard pit road to get off of because it's not really, but it's one of those that can definitely catch you sleeping if you're not paying attention. Because ideally, you can tend to merge too early off turn number 2. It could be troublesome. And I'm glad that they instituted a rule like that, in particular, only for one reason. Excuse me. Only for one reason here tonight, Pete. So when you look at this race, because of the fact that there's no draft, there's going to be effective blocking on that bottom lane. So if you merge too early today, accidentally, odds are you may wreck a lot of race cars. So I expect that rule to be enforced highly. You mentioned the pits. And I really think, and we've been talking about what we expect for this race, Stage 1 and 2, in my opinion, tonight, Pete, don't have a factor on what the outcome of this race is going to be tonight. It's going to be the outcome is who pits and when, and who gets the most successful aggressive entry into the pits. You have to remember at Auto Club, it's one of the bigger pit roads in the entirety of the bunch of circuits NNR is going to go to, and one of the easiest to get onto. I'm very eager to see how aggressive a lot of these drivers go and how far to the limits do they test just to try to get that extra second to try to give themselves a chance at winning this race.
All right, it looks like I just got some invites. I'm trying to find you right now. You're offline. Getting you to the game as we speak. You were all the way down there. Even though I favorited you, you're still all the way down there for some reason. Combat Beast, what's happening? Seventh Monkey, good to see you guys out there. Yeah, it's it's going to be there's going to be a lot to talk about and a lot to ponder as we get going here, Word. But we're loading in again. The Auto Club 400, actually going to be 200. These guys are 50% at 2 times wear. Again, More Smoke won this race last year under the same settings when it was actually an issue that 704 had. They accidentally removed the draft. And we'll see if he's able to pull off the three-peat as we've been talking about in all this pre-race. 26 or 27 cars going to be on track tonight. One hell of a field. As soon as we line them up, we're going to see where they're all at. And as you said there, we're 42 is CGMX Rose. He's going to be on the pole with the 88 of Asbel to his outside. 95 of Jose 95. One car of God Power. 18 of Ingles, looks like he had some kind of connection issue. He's back in the pits. 2 cars, Stout Whiskey. 48 of Rowdy. 36 of Boehner. 17 of the Aviator. 11 of Silent Killer. 22 of J-Pa. 9 car of More Smoke. Your winner for previous two races. 24 of NNR Coe. 3 car of Outlaw. 21 of Parzival. 47 of Augustus. 7 car of Knights. Welcome him back. 41 of Dan the Lawn Man, 66 of Mike Honcho, 38 of Fatless Dig, 8 car of Fort Smitty, 16 car of NNR Trip, 14 of J Quim, 32 of NNR Drake, 43 of Sweeter Feed, 4 car of Natty Dread, and that brings us to the 34 of Alpha York. And unfortunately, looks like the 10 car of Cheese also had some kind of a connection issue. So a couple cars in the pits before we even get started. We're coming through 3 and 4. 42 is going to be your control car. Very, very strong Chevy Goods Camaro to his outside, driven by Asbel, last year's Xfinity and Truck Series champ. But we're about to address that line. All yours to take us green, sir.
Indeed, as Rose gets to the restart box, green flag is out, or maybe not. They hold the start-finish line, and let's see now if that means green flag, and indeed it is. So Rose breaks away early on, and by the way, for those maybe first-time watchers here at NNR, no, this is not Pete's screen showing that glitch. The tires on the spectator mode seem to come out of the race car. It's just a new glitch. They'll get that fixed, needless to say. But Rose out in the lead, 2-car breakaway for the moment with Asbel and Jose behind in third as they work their way into turn number 3.
Yeah, and I tell you what, as I was kind of looking backwards from the 42 with CGMX Rose, they are in one big line, and they were all the way down the backstretch. Everybody was kind of tucked up against that outside wall, and this looks like a huge dagger race right now, where everybody's found a spot on that bottom line, and they're just kind of staying nose to tail tucked in. As you said, I'm hoping that we're going to see a little bit more racing than this as the night goes on, but this is an effect of that no draft. The guys that are naturally faster or have their tunes in, have their wheels set up, have everything just as they need it, are going to come up and prevail, while the others they might find out they still had a little bit of work left to do.
Indeed, and right now, Rose is getting a little bit of a breakaway, which is helping. But the thing is, Asbel, he's starting to have some draft help behind here as they work their way into turn number 1. It's a good little push right now. I'm eager to see, though. You see Asbel just a little bit loose already as they head through the bumps. I have a very strong feeling, Pete, that he may fade a little bit on this long run because Jose and Rose, they look very nice and tight compared to that 88, which, again, as I mentioned, the looser you are in the start, the looser you will be on the long run, which could be very impactful and very much could hurt that 88.
Yeah, it absolutely could. And, I'm seeing, just like at Michigan, just like at Vegas, just like at Daytona or Talladega, one car goes down to the apron to try to, come around in the fastest line possible. Everybody's actually following them. So as you said in pre-race, even though there's like low to no draft tonight, there's still just a little bit of a pull, not much. And the guys up front, they realize that, trying to stay in somewhat of a wake more than a draft of the 42 of CJ Mex Rose and the 88 of NNR Asbel, as Jose 95 and the 2 car Stout Whiskey, they're pretty much locked up nose to tail. And I'm sorry, the 36 of Boehner and the 2 of Stout Whiskey were pretty much locked up nose to tail, and that pushed Jose 95 back to P5. Ingles, I'm sorry to hear you got bounced out, buddy. You're definitely welcome to hang out with us and keep us moving, man. Keep us informed as to what you think. Feel free.
Oh, Rose right now coming off that turn number 4. Asbel again getting a strong little draft. You see them again weaving single file. Jose falls back to 5th, by the way. Boehner in that 4th position, followed by Stout Whiskey, who now looks to the bottom there into turn number 2, but can't quite get a run on Asbel. But we're seeing early on, Pete, that 2 looking very strong. I'm very eager to see exactly what kind of run he's going to get here if he keeps on trying to creep to that bottom. The 88's trying to do a lot of protecting, and the 42, he still looks very strong, utilizing all the racetrack he can to try to break up the draft as it's side by side for 4th here. Boehner trying to make a move here, actually rather for 3rd.
Yeah, Boehner's down, up high, Stout Whiskey down low, and Stout got a huge run. It almost looked like he just flat sent it, but I don't think he did, because if he had, he would have ran all over the back of that 88. But the 36 really only lost 1 spot right there by running up high. So the 2's going to remain in P3. Now Jose made up that 1 spot that he got shuffled back. 36 of Boehner. We're starting to see the 48 of Rowdy creep into this mix as well.
He is starting to creep in, but the one thing too about this is that tires are going to start to be a factor here in about the next 5 laps. You see Rose that time, not really that good of an arc, while now he finally gets to the bottom. Really kept it up for the middle a little bit too long here, and I think those guys are on those tighter setups. You're going to really start to find them really struggling getting to the bottom and really running the middle line, which, yes, I guess you could say could benefit guys like Asbel, who will now actually move up the track. Stout Whiskey makes an inside move here for 2nd. But at the same time, it's not going to be beneficial for those guys that are a little bit looser, because they're going to burn a lot more tires, which means Asbel's probably going to be the first one to pit in this group of 5 battling for the lead.
Yeah, and something that you hit on that I wanted to get a little bit deeper into a little bit ago, as these guys are coming off 2, and as they wear out that right rear, trying to get the launch that they would normally have a little bit of help with coming off of the corner. If you're a little bit higher on the preset, if you generally like a little bit looser of a car, well, you're going to get really loose coming off of 2, because at the point you're still hard on the gas, trying to get that right rear to help you turn that car. You're also wearing down your fuels. Your fuel is getting lighter, which we all know helps burn faster laps. But at the same time, it frees it up too much. At what point, or at what lap would you say we're going to start to see those cars get very, very wicked loose coming off of 2, especially, and might run into danger of those cars pointing in the wrong direction? They want to be looking forward, but the only thing that they're looking forward to is that inside wall when their car's about ready to loop around on them.
Indeed, I'm going to say really we're going to start seeing it in about the next 4 to 5 laps. While there's still a pretty solid amount of time left in this first run here in stage number 1, it's usually around the midpoint where these guys start to see the most handling changes in their race cars. And right now, I mean, we're seeing these guys very calm, cool, relaxed, gliding up the racetrack. Almost like Michigan, Pete, especially off of turn number 2, we saw cars get loose and wicked eventually on the long run. The same thing kind of happens here on defaults coming off of turn 2 and number 4. So I would say that the hot zone's definitely in the next 4 to 5 laps, and you're going to see these tighter cars really start to prevail. I mean, it's about a pack of 6 right now for the lead. I think this is going to be your top 6 throughout the rest of stage number 1. I expect as now the 2 makes a move to the inside here of Stout Whiskey. slides up the track just a little bit. Expect maybe a couple lead changes if Rose continues to be a little bit too loose.
Yeah, I'm a little bit further back in the pack right now, kind of keeping an eye on the 22 of J-Pa. He's got 24 of Coey and the 11 of Silent right with him. And a car that's kind of broken away from the second pack and working his way up is none other than that 9 of Amore Smoke. He is starting to creep up. He's lost the second pack, trying to pull this first pack back up to that main group. We'll have to see if he's able to do that, but I'm going to get on him right now. And yeah, there he is. So he's got that 9 KBB Camaro pretty much in the wind, right up along that high line where you saw everybody else. And again, he won this race last year in pretty similar circumstances where there was no draft. So there he is again. Masked Killer, good to see you. How are you?
Now, as they head down the front straightaway, and you see them now starting to slice and dice, getting real tight nose to tail. And obviously, right now, Stout's trying to be real patient behind Jose and Rose, not really trying to push the issue, but Asbill wants to do whatever he can to try to make up some ground. And you see it, he thought about making it 3 wide. Now he sits behind the 2 as they work into turn number 3. These guys, they're going to get pushy and shovey. And again, this is the part of the run where we start to see the cars start to change. I expect it to really start to become 2x2 here in just a moment, Pete, from first all the way to 6th, because these guys are going to start picking their lanes of where there's most grip and really trying to protect their positions on the track.
Yeah, Asbel just gave that to his Stout Whiskey. Huge push all the way down the front stretch. Really almost pushed him underneath the 42, but at least able to catch that 95. Stout's trying a little bit of a side draft off the 95, but at the same time, he kind of had the 88 of Asbel in his right rear, almost turning him. So a little bit of contact, nothing bad, but it definitely slowed down everybody behind the 42, and that put the 95 of Jose right back up to P2 and brought Stout, Asbel, Boehner, and the 48 of Rowdy side by side, coming off of 4. Now we're going into 1 and 2.
And Stout kind of in that medium lane, to say the least. He has to pick who he wants to draft with. Asbel tries to slide up, almost close the door on Boehner. Now Boehner comes down to that 36. He tries to give a shove, but you see the 48. He now gets in the line, but there's 2 more cars farther in the back trying to close it. I believe that's the 9 sitting back there as well. Amore Smoke, who's slowly trying to creep his way into the picture. And I'll tell you what, for Amore, wasn't a good qualifying run. He's sitting right here in 7th position. I don't think he'll have anything to catch this pack, simply because he doesn't have the draft in stage number 1, but he has a very good chance to help himself out for stage number 2, perhaps.
Yeah, he has absolutely left that pack that was behind him, and he's ran these guys down. So Amore absolutely has a hell of a hot rod under him. It'll be interesting to find out, and if the first 2 races this year have any indication of the determination that he's got to get it done, man, we might be talking to him again at post race, either first, maybe second, or possibly third. But either way, that 9 is coming, and it might be to the demise of these guys up front, because he's running them down as they are all continually running nose to tail. He's got 1 guy behind him, but as you know, Word, if you've got a pack of 5 or 6 cars, they're gonna run faster, even at low or no draft.
Indeed, we're starting to see our cycle of pit stops, by the way. Oh, by the way, a bunch of cars are already coming out, such as Alpha York, farther back in the pack. But Rose with the lead, breaking away a little bit. Here comes our first takers, and to no surprise, the 48 and a big bundle behind, all hitting down now. Now, this is the one thing that we're going to see early on here, Pete, that I was really wondering the most about. How much time are you going to gain here on this short pit strategy, quote unquote, and really will you be able to maintain the track position as now Rose signals to come down? Ideally, you want the fresher tires in a race like this, but with there being no draft, maybe breaking the draft is going to be beneficial. So I'm eager to see which strategy prevails, as now Rose comes down. The 88's going to stay out, as well as Jose. So a good mix of strategy. Ooh, Boehner! Ooh, so I don't know if Stout's going to get a pit stop. We'll have to
Man.
see.
Yeah, it looks like the game. I'm actually on Stout Whiskey right now, and yeah, that was absolutely close. Boehner came in extremely hot, and I saw where he knocked Stout out into the grass, but he was able to actually get in there, and although he's had some pit road issues over the last couple of weeks, it looks like this one is not going to bite him. He's pulling into his pit stop, and he's going to grab 4 brand new Eagle Feel Goods. Grab that full tank or just what you need in order to complete out this race, and we'll have to see. Out of 55, what's happening? Good to see you. Welcome to another NNR Cup race right here from Auto Club. Please feel free to smash that follow button, hang out, chat it up, and yeah, make yourself comfortable, man.
Rose exiting the pits, and you see it. He has a big gap to Stout behind him. But now, question is, how much farther out ahead is he of these two pitting of Asbil and Jose, who have just hit their pit stalls now? Rose coming off of turn number 4 as we speak. I think he's going to have a commanding lead here, Pete, which very much will help his case here towards the end of stage number 1. As you see it, this is going to be big. He's going to have Asbil right behind, just coming off now, but it's going to be a 2-car battle here as pit stops ultimately deciding track position.
Yeah, one thing though that Asbil's going to have to kind of keep in mind, he's got 2 lap fresher tires than the 42 of CGMX Rose. Rose now out there to a lead. He's got the 88 right behind him. I believe that's going to be the 2. I'm not quite sure if that's actually the 2 right behind him. It's kind of throwing me off with the numbers on his side, and as you know, they're going by pretty quick. No, okay, yeah, able to catch up with the 2. He just went on by. As you see, more smoke exiting the pits. So top 3 now. Quite a bit of gap between them and no draft. So we'll have to see if those tires hold on for CGMX Rose to keep Asbil behind him. And Asbil's thinking the same thing. Can he keep the 2 of Whiskey that was making all kinds of moves in the early going behind him? 1st through 5th now they've all got, 10 car lengths between them.
Even Rose right now, he is out in front, having a very, very big gap. Now, the one thing that we also have to consider, too, is that, yes, Rose has a commanding lead. A little bit of draft from Stout, which I know it's not going to show in their bars, allowing them to get nose to tail is going to make them a slightly bit faster. But the big thing for Asbil is that he has a lap advantage here on tires, which could play into his favor here on the long run. And I'm going to be honest here when I say this, Pete. I really think if Asbil starts gaining some time and he's battling here for the stage win, you're going to really see what strategy Rose will play when we get into stage number 2 and 3. Because that's ultimately the difference maker of what strategy may prevail. And right now, it's that short pitting strategy by 1 lap that's really helping the 42 maintain his distance, which, to be honest, is what we initially thought was going to be the play.
Yeah, absolutely. Keeping up with the 36 of Boehner right now as he runs P6 behind P5 of J-Pa. That 9 of more smoke, he's actually worked his way up to P4. So even though he pit a lap or so after J-Pa and Boehner, he's moved up 2 spots, and at the line that time there, I believe I just said there were 4 laps to go. I'll keep an eye on the stream, but they are absolutely counting down. Got to kind of wonder, did Rose just take 2 tires and a splash, or a half a can to get him the rest of the way, keeping it light? And I hope that's something that he practiced, because usually if you take just right side tires, it can tend to make you a little loose, depending also what you've done with that wedge and that right rear air pressure. Well, I'll have to see. And again, double checking with Boehner's stream as he comes across the line right now. Absolutely 3 laps to go.
Yeah, Rose right now hitting that 3 lap to go mark, and Stout doing a good job making up the ground. And Pete, I will say this: I don't think he took 2 tires. I think they all had to take 4, only for the reason that on these default setups early on, you are going to burn your left front completely, just as much as you're going to burn that right front tire. So realistically, everyone had to take 4 as now we come to the stripe for 2 laps to go. And I don't think everyone has their full adjustments in. I really think this next coming pit stop between the stages when we're going to see cars at their peak. A dominant stage 1 for Rose, and he's looking to walk away with this thing easily. I mean, a big, big gap. Last week he made mistakes towards the end of the stages. This time he's looking pitch perfect. And again, we're going to have to restack him and have another restart in about the next minute.
Yeah, just keeping an eye there with the 22 of J-Pop for Q-Dog out there in chat. Q-Dog pass you just saw Jose make, that put J-Pop back to P8, but still pretty good run considering where he started at. But so move J-Pop. He's still in that top 10.
J-Pop still in that top 10, and Rose coming off of turn number 2 here for the final time in stage number 1. Big, big gap all the way back to Asbill, who is trying to still pull away from Stout Whiskey. Everyone else that pitted with Asbill has not found success, needless to say, since coming out of the pits. But coming off of turn number 4 will be CGMX Rose taking stage number 1 here at Auto Club. Asbill second, Stout Whiskey third, and they all try to push behind them. Looks like the 48 got, I believe that's maybe 6th.
Yep.
Now it looks like Moore rallied all the way up to 4th. How about that, Pete?
Yep.
They got 7th. You got Bainer with 5th. And behind it's the 22 of J-Paw, who got 8th. I believe that's the 17. These games are having a little bit. I believe that's Aviator behind in the 17. They got 9th. I'm trying to find here who got 10th. I can't quite see what car number that is.
It looks like it's going to be the 21 of Parzival. All right, so we're going to get ready to rack and stack them back up. We got about 5 seconds left under this this stage break. We're going to hit the whole stage 2 here right now, and everybody got a pretty good time to go ahead and do whatever they needed to do there with their pressures, with their wedge, with their tape. A whole lot longer than what you've got going down pit road under a green flag stop. Now it's going to be the 88 as the control car. 42 is CGMX Rose for the first time, finds himself in P2. Stout Whiskey on that low line, going to try to look underneath that 42. Here comes the 9 as well. He's going to duck under CGMX Rose. So a big line all on that low side, guiding right around that white line. And everybody, again, kind of riding that wall. Everybody now chasing the 88 of Asbill.
Indeed, I said the battles are going to be won in the pits. Well, that one clear as day as Asbill out to the lead. They're 2x2 for about 5th on back, but Asbill looking very strong as they head off of turn 4. Here's Stout looking to the bottom, has a big run, and he'll challenge for the lead. The line that time, the 88 of Asbill still with it, but now Stout Whiskey out in front as they work their way to turn number 1.
Yes, Stout Whiskey with a clear advantage, able to pull the slide right up in front of the 88 of Asbill. Here comes the 42 of CGMX Rose. He's going to be able to pull right behind that 2 as well. Stout's going to try to play both lines, block both lines, but I don't think it's going to work. Just about clip the front nose of that 42. Really got to pay attention to that white line. Don't go below on that apron too much, otherwise you have the chance of absolutely upsetting that car's balance, and at most times will absolutely come around on you. So Stout Whiskey right now with the lead, 88 of Asbill, P2, 42 CGMX Rose in P3, 9 car of More Smoke really rallied during stage 1, and there's definitely some contact. 88 slapped that wall, and a lot of people had to really avoid him in order to move on. That's going to cost that 88 word. Caution's
Indeed,
out.
that name just brought out the caution. Indeed, as Asbel slapping the wall. And you saw it there on that first lap, really, when he pushed back tight towards the outside wall. You could tell he doesn't have the handling all the way in. But now, this is really the toughest part for Asbel, Pete. He's going to have to challenge his way through a bunch of race cars to try to get up to the front. You know, usually you would say, oh, that's easy, it's Auto Club. You could just kind of work your way through. But with there being no draft, Stage 2 now really isn't going to be a factor for him. He's going to have to make moves by himself, show his speed and his power, but he's going to have to try to set himself up for Stage 3, almost like how Amore just did at the end of Stage 1 for Stage 2.
Yeah, Amore definitely showing a lot of strength and a lot of speed. It's going to be interesting for any of you football fans out there. Thursday night football update. Bucks are leading 13-0 over the Bears in the second quarter. So there you go. So back at it now. We got the 32 inside the 2. 32 of, I believe that's going to be NNR Drake. I don't think he pit. Maybe that figures, hey, I need the track position. Just going to stay on out here. 42 of Rose to the inside. Stouty in that 2. Looking to the out. 36 of Boehner right now. Running P4 with a little look to the inside. Can he catch that 42 napping and take that spot? 42 is going to have to check up behind the 2. Here comes that 16 Fraternal Order of Eagles car with the 95 of Jose, working his way back into the top 5 here in just the beginning parts of stage number 2, with 20 more laps remaining in this stage.
Indeed, and Stout to the outside for the lead. Drake pushes up a little bit. Now he's going to be stuck in the middle as Rose finally clears, but 3 wide behind. Boehner inside. Jose gets around now on the outside. Moves Stout to the lead. Jose up the 3rd. And make that J-Paul, I believe, who's making a move to the inside now for 3rd as they work their way into turn number 3. Now, I was going to say, Pete, for the 32, I like the idea. Not because of the fact that it allows him to get track position, but more the fact that you can take a risk early to see what falls off and what works. We saw it work for a lap or 2, which makes me really want to think is, oh, we have a car on the wall. One car spinning, I believe that's God Power, is going around in the back. Someone just hit him hard. Indeed it is. God Power's car is destroyed, Pete. They remain green out there on the track. I was going to say for the 32 was that it's an idea of you could see what may work towards a green-white checkered. So if this stage is to come down to something, I wouldn't be surprised now if we see a guy try to stay out or so to try to at least get themselves set up for stage number 3.
Yeah, very, very strong up front, very strong in the middle and in the back of the pack. Right now, we just saw the 88 really have an issue that I'm not quite sure who he collected, but the caution definitely came out. He's back here with the 48 of Rowdy. Not quite sure how Rowdy ended up all the way back here, but he was in the top 10 at the end of the break, or maybe he wasn't and I missed it, but Rowdy trying to work his way under the 43, just kind of following the 88 all the way all the way through this pack. And they've definitely got a lot of work to do and a short time to do it. Only 17 more laps left here in stage 2. So they've got to try to make up as many spots as they can. That way it doesn't come down to their pit crew getting them out anywhere close to the front. Because everybody's going to have pretty much the same amount of time on pit road unless they have damage. But right now it looks like Boehner's car, he's got 17 laps left in the tank, and I think the last time they came by I said 17 to go, so everybody should be right on that edge.
Indeed, everyone should be right up to that edge, and it's going to make it interesting again, because we saw what worked for Rose in that first stage, how many drivers try to stay on his cycle. When Rose sits in that 3rd spot, 22 right on his bumper. And how about Aviator? He's at an average day as we have a battle for the lead. Jose now to the bottom here, a Stout Whiskey as they work into 3. Stout gives a little lift. Jose gives a run. Will Rose try to make it 3 wide? As indeed he does. He looks to the bottom. 3x3 coming off of turn number 4. Stout with the lead for the moment, but Rose with the draft help as they cross the start-finish line. Leads at that time, 22 to the high side. Rose trying to get the run on the bottom. He has the nose for the moment. Gives a full send, slides up in front of Jose. 22, your new leader, but here comes the 95 with the crossover.
Yeah, we talked about both of these pro league drivers very early in this broadcast. You know how they ran here in the pro league, and also how CJMX Rose won the sister track to this at Michigan in the pro league at the end of the season. So both of these guys up there on the same equipment. Neither of these guys the advantage, but right now nose to tail, and that J-Paw militia has to be going crazy right now as J-Paw looks underneath the two-car Stout Whiskey and also may try to challenge that 95. J-Paw's going to slide on up. Stout's going to try to move on underneath. Not sure if Stout checked up a little earlier going into the corner, was able to kind of pull that crossover, but moves Stout now on that bottom line, leaving J-Paw and additional company out to dry. A big line of cars coming underneath that 22 and that 9.
Even now, you see Rose, though, up towards front. Both him and Jose have to play a very crucial factor here, Pete. They have to maintain these lines because now you see these guys 2x2. They have a very strong draft pool. Moore got a little bit tight there coming off of 2. It off the 22, but these guys have to keep it really almost kind of like a plate track. Protect the runs and try to kill them because that's the only way they may be able to keep this track position. And by the way, Stout now moves up into that third position. You're starting to see a little bit of a breakaway, a little bit of momentum. And I'm telling you what, when it comes to these pit stops here in a couple of laps, Pete, I'm really excited. The 17 nicked the grass there. But I'm really excited to see how separated this field becomes in a matter of the next 5 laps.
Well, we'll have to see. Like I said, Boehner, he's still showing 13 laps of fuel on his stream. If I switch over, let's see. If I switch on over to Asbel, he's showing just about. Oh, actually, Asbel's up in the outside wall again. He's going to lose a ton of positions once more. Let's try old Alpha York. On Alpha York, he's got 12 laps of fuel, so definitely a bit of a difference between these drivers when they pit and how much fuel they took in order to keep track position. So we may be seeing a pit stop here sometime soon, which always does, in fact, as you said, string these guys out just a little bit. We saw it before. We're probably going to see it again, but right now, CJMX Rose is seeing everything that he wants, and that is a completely clean track in front of him, the entire field behind him, with early teens left to go in stage number 2.
Even Rose again blocking that high side. Jose, he's trying to do whatever he can to trying to keep his clean air so that he can really get a good shot off exit. But I'll tell you what, of these front 4 right now, Pete, I think the strongest car is sitting in third, and that's Stout Whiskey. Stout now makes a move to the bottom here for a second. It's like his car off exit right now is, as you like to see in Ricky Bobby, slingshot engage. He just gets behind the car and really, really shoots that thing off exit after a good center. I think these two could be competing for the stage win here and ultimately could be taking a lead in about the next 3 laps.
Yeah, Stout Whiskey is staying very, very close, if not exactly in the 42's tire tracks. Again, low to no draft tonight. These guys are absolutely getting after it. 42 CJMX Rose is leading 2-car Stout Whiskey in P2. 36 of Boehner, 95 of Jose, 95 running P4. And it looks like it's going to be the 9 of a More Smoke, still keeping his spot in that top 5. And stage points are ever important. Pretty good run for a More Smoke. A little bit further off than where he ran here in the spring. But at the end, in the this race last season, it was all the More Smoke and Rowdy show. Rowdy got very, very loose on the final lap and allowed a More Smoke to get on by for the W, his first of the season. So far, he's got 2 wins in the bank at Michigan and Las Vegas, trying to get that third, or could it be the 42's time to shine?
Indeed, it's It's a great question when you think about it, because you really don't know what still can happen. But Rosie has the gap, and tonight, to this point, it's looked like it's time to shine. Looked like he scraped the wall going into 3. Painter gets a great run. I was just about to say, Rose has been almost perfect to this point, Pete. He hasn't made a mistake, but that one being the first, it didn't cost him the lead. It almost did. And now it's a train yet again behind. Boehner, he looks to the bottom, has a run. Rose closes the door. My goodness, nearly cut off the 36 as they work down the backstretch. 42, just holding it, and Boehner trying to regather himself to try to make a run here towards the lead.
Yeah, Boehner, just like Stout was before, right there in the 42's tire tracks. It seems like the entire field is all in the 42's tire tracks, up high, down low. Everywhere that this 42 is going, it seems like that's where they're going. Low to no draft, trying to just stay right where they are. If the 42 tries to break it, they're trying to stay right there with them. Again, bit of a battle here, 42 and 36. Boehner is as far up as he's been all night long. Will he have something for the 42 here in the closing laps? Next time by, again, I'll grab a lap count. Boehner was very close on fuel to making it all the way in stage 2. I don't know what Rose has on board. We'll have to find out as laps continue to click on down. Coming off 4 yet again. All to you, Word.
Indeed, as Rose again crossing that start-finish line, it's become that 2-car breakaway back towards the middle of the field. One car I'm actually pinpointing for the moment that's done a good job making a little bit of rebounding, and that's NNR Asbill. After that wreck that caused the yellow, he's not quite into the top 10 yet, but he's made up some ground. He sits right now behind 8th. I believe that's at about maybe the 15th position. If Asbill can really start making up some more ground here, we could see him there towards the end of the stage, maybe again starting to compete for the win when we open up stage number 3.
Yeah, right now still 42-36 behind these guys, a little bit more of a pack. Working my way on through right now. J-Pod in that 22 is falling back just a little bit. Here is that 9 of a more smoke with a windshield full of that Worth number 2 Ford Mustang. 9 car of a more smoke KBB Camaro. Behind him is going to be the 41. Welcome to the top 5, top 6. Dan the Lawn Man. Good job by him. He's definitely got a bit of a hot rod. Good to see him up here battling with Amore. Behind Dan is gonna be that 95 of Jose. And at the line this time, I think we're gonna see about 4 or maybe 3 left to go here in stage 2. It's gonna be a pretty interesting battle to close it outward. 3 to go.
Indeed, 3 laps to go. And I'll tell you what, one thing that's made this race so beautiful, not because of the fact that it's gone so quickly, more the fact that it's been, very, very calm with the exception of 1 yellow. And we're starting to see, again, the separation. Rose has the lead, but Boehner right behind. And I really feel here has become to take 2 to go now, Pete. I have a very strong feeling Boehner may make a move on the final lap. Try to take the stage. I mean, he's been stalking this 42 as, oh my goodness, he nearly ran in the back of him as they worked their way into 1. But he's been stalking this 42, just trying to find a way to get to his bottom to get a run here. I think he's going to try to do something to turn number 3. That's been his strongest part of the track all day long.
Yeah, 36 right there with the 42. 42 looks like he's able to paint that white line just a little bit better than the 36 of Boehner. Looks like 42 is going to get a little bit better of a launch. 36 going to dive down right again in those tire tracks. They have been pretty much nose to tail all the way around. Here comes maybe a little bit of an attempt to try to dive on down. Don't want to get too far below that white line. 36 is going to lose all kinds of time. Little tight right there, but it looks like the 42 got a little tight as well. So Rose now, he still has the lead going down that backstretch. Going into 3 and 4. Here might be Boehner's one last attempt to get on underneath. It looks like he's got a pretty stable car because going and getting the left side tires below the line didn't upset it too much. So just like stage 1 here in stage 2, it's going to be the 42 of CGMX Rose in that Credit 1 Camaro to steal max points. And guys and gals, we're going to take a quick commercial break, kind of grab something cold to drink, and then we will be right back on the other side. Thanks for keeping it right here. Let's go follow NNR. What do you think?
Hey NNR fans, don't miss any of the action by following or subscribing to Repeat's Twitch channel. Turn on notifications and you'll always know when the best preset league on Xbox hits the track. Check out his YouTube channel too to see all of NNR's past races. Follow No Name Racing as well as Repeat 1975 and others on Twitter, and you'll never miss any of the action.
All right, we are kicking off stage 3 here. Final stage, time to get up and get gone. Rose, Boehner, More Smoke, Dan the Lawman, Stout Whiskey, and Jose are going to be your topics. 42 is going to hit the gas, get up and get going with that shifter that he's got. Boehner's got the same equipment. There's the 9, though, More Smoke now up to P3. He gained 2 spots in the pits from where he was, or where he finished there in stage 2. Here we go again, bud.
Indeed, Rose, again, getting a great start. He tries to block to the bottom, but here's a More Smoke on the high side. I'll tell you what, Morgan, he's been sitting around all day long. Hasn't quite had the best car, but he's found a way to rebound. If he could just get to the bottom, Azul looked like he nicked the wall just a little bit, but now he's getting a run again down the straightaway. I think if he can get to the bottom here, he's going to be a contender when it's all said and done. Boehner, though, in second, goes for a big send in the 1. Rose closes the door as they shoot back down the back stretch. It's still side by side for third on back. And I'll tell you what, Pete, it's been quick pace throughout these first 2 stages. But as we saw in Michigan, we saw mayhem happen in that 3rd stage. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Always in turn 3, the intensity picks up just a little bit. Those that really need the stage points seem to scramble a little bit as Jose and the 2-car Stout Whiskey kind of mix it up, kind of puts the 95 down in the grass. I think the 2 might have nicked it as well. Cost him just a little bit of time, but the big loser there was the 95. He's fallen back all the way behind this first pack. Now he's in the middle between the cars that are just kind of hanging out in the back, trying to make some moves and salvage whatever points they can to at least maybe try to make it into the top 10. Meanwhile, CGMX Rose still up front. Then you got Boehner, the 9 car of More Smoke. Looks like the 41 of Dan the Lawn Man with a big old push from the 2 of Stout Whiskey. Behind them, they are side by side, 2 rows deep, and then 95 trying to pull up the rear.
Indeed, the 95, for the most part, has had a pretty solid day, but he's going to have to try to rebound here as he's towards the end of that pack. But yet again, what we saw towards the end of stage number 2 may be becoming a factor. It's a 2-car breakaway. Boehner and also Rose in that 1-2 spot. Amore, he sits in 3rd for the first time today. Does he have anything? But it's still 2x2 behind. God Power towards the back of the field. He's done after getting a free pass this last time out. He's starting to slowly tiptoe his way through. He's not quite into the top 20 yet, but you could show that he has a little bit of speed trying to work his way through. But it's still 2x2, Pete, for the middle of the pack, and this is going to allow these front 5 to really break away.
Yeah, back there with God Power, as you were saying, looking to the inside right now of that 16 Fraternal Order of Eagles car from NNR Trip, keeping an eye on the 11 of Silent Killer. Both of those guys are right behind the 24 of Coe. All these guys in the back really starting to get a little bit more, single file, just working with what they've got, hoping that in the next, when they get down pit road, they'll be able to see what they have, or maybe get a feel of what they need for the long run. That was kind of taken from them in the latter half of stage 2. Pretty much everybody was able to make it on fuel. if they don't get a caution now, they might be able to get those last minute adjustments that they feel they need in order to march their way through the field. Or will somebody back it down a little bit? Is that what we're seeing back here? Maybe a couple guys not really going full throttle and trying to save just a little bit. There's what is there? Only 32 laps left here in stage 2, so there's probably now kind of with that information in mind, no real sense in backing it down. It's pretty much just full bore, and everybody should be able to make it on one stop until till the end of the race.
That's what we could be seeing, and I'll tell you what, this group though, as it's about a 5-6 car breakaway, it's going to be interesting. It really is. It's going to be interesting what we see towards the end. Here's a Moore, by the way. He works his way up into the second now. If that is the case here for what we see, Pete, we're going to see guys really slow down this pace. And I don't quite think we're seeing that quite yet. If that's to be the case, I really think we're going to see these guys fall off. And I'm not quite seeing that. I think these guys are trying to go all for it, maybe trying to get an extra lap or two, maybe. They want to break away and they want to control this race, and I don't really see fuel being that exact factor.
No, I don't think so either. Moore, he just really thought about trying to duck underneath the 42, but didn't quite have the run that he thought. 2-car stout whiskey. He might try to look underneath the 9, but just not enough momentum there. 42, he's still got this lead. He's taken both stages. More smoke right now, sitting right behind him with a big old shove from the 2. Behind the 2 is going to be the 41 of Dan the Lawman. He has continued to march his way up through the field, sticking right there with his buddy in that 2 stout whiskey. Top 4 all nose to tail with Jose 95 and the 36 of Boehner. This whole group now nose to tail, everybody chasing the 42 as it looks like the 9's going to try to take a peek to the outside. Here he comes.
Indeed, he's trying to make a peek to the outside, but Rose again closing the door. They work their way off of turn number 2. Boehner, though, towards the back is being patient, being very, very patient. But this side-by-side racing is literally helping him because of that fact. He can just sit here now and really coast. Because you have to remember one thing, Pete. We have the draft up here, believe it or not. Because there's such nose to tail, they have a draft factor, which means that they're going to get a good little bit of suction as long as they insert enough of throttle. And I really think this 36 may be the best beneficiary towards the front while these guys are wasting gas and tires trying to make a move.
Yeah, we just saw the 2-car stout whiskey really get underneath the 9. 9 tried to come on down and pinch it off just a little bit. Not quite able to, so move the 9 of a More Smoke back to P5. He's going to try to rally back, getting underneath the 41 of Dan the Lawnman, still trying to get up there and get going. Again, More Smoke, he is back-to-back so far this year on wins. I don't remember the last time here in NNR where somebody has started off 3 wins in a row. More Smoke might be about ready to set that precedent if he can get his way back up there. I'm sure just there battling with the 2, trying to work his way underneath the 42. He's used up his equipment just a little bit. I don't next time by, I'll go ahead and grab a lap count. Unfortunately, neither Boehner, the Aviator Asbel, or Alpha York have their fuel up, their fuel menu up. So I don't know exactly what they've got left in the tank. But with 26 laps to go, you've got to figure that a trip down pit road is going to be forthcoming sooner than later. J-Mac, how are you out there, sir?
Down the back stretch again, and we see now they're single file. Ooh, Stout thought about making a move. He goes all the way down to the apron, a little bit loose. That's going to kill their momentum a little bit. Let's see what Boehner does now. He's up in the 3rd. He's getting a good little push from Moore. Looks to the bottom. Now he shoves to 2. And now they send it up high. tell you what, Boehner's been very convincing. We knew he has a very strong handling race car. What's been convincing is how he's played this third stage to this point. He's been calm, cool, and conservative. Meanwhile, Rose has had to do nothing but protect out in front. I think we could see something sly here from Boehner. Ooh, he almost ran the back of Stout going in the 3. I think we could see something that perhaps can really give himself a chance here to set himself up with the lead in maybe this race.
It's absolutely possible. Again, Boehner is a multi-time winner here in the NNR Cup Series. Came very, very close to the Xfinity Series championship when he battled it out with Asbel. Boehner was actually pulled out of the Xfinity Series to move up to Cup, and this actually is series admin, so he knows what he's doing out there on the track. Really, very few people complain about his driving, so he usually only takes the runs when he knows that he can make them, and he's not going to make any kind of contact with the car inside or outside. So right now, doing the best that he can to keep the momentum up on that high side. He's going to get a little bit of a shot from the 9. Again, 41 of Dan the Lawn Man sitting right there in P5. This 5-car train has absolutely pulled away from the rest of the field, but if they look a little bit just one car back, if Dan was to look in the mirror, he might start to see those ally colors from the 48 of Rowdy. That backpack is starting slowly but surely to pull their way up.
Indeed, it's starting to move its way up, but these 5 up here, they need to organize. They need to really work together. Otherwise, they are going to lose time. The more you battle, the more the group behind really has a speed advantage, and you see it right now. Boehner's still looking, but this group, it is coming, and you have to really imagine this too, Pete. You mentioned about the saving. It looks like they have backed their pace down a little bit here, this front 5. Everything you can do to just save a little means something in the long run. And I think they're trying to allow this group to catch them so then they can gas it back up and force these guys farther behind to push harder and harder.
Yeah, big shout out to not only J-Mac, but I see Tom, you're out there. Fry Dog, good to see you as well. Definitely appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out, keeping up with everybody. Master Killer's been keeping everybody up to date with what's going on with Thursday Night Football as we see the 2-car of Stout Whiskey look underneath that 36 of Boehner. We'll see, it looks like the 9 of Amore Smoke. He's going to go with the 36. And the 42 up top as well. That's going to be 4 cars up on that high side. And you mentioned it in pre-race there, Word, how the high side could absolutely get by somebody down low. Looks like the 9 made a little bit of contact with the wall. That's going to take a little momentum. 41's going to be able to slide on by after a little bit door check between him and the 9. 42 CJMX Rose still in the lead. And it looks like we got a caution. Caution's out.
Indeed, there is a caution out. I'm trying to see who was the car around. Looks like the 21 has a little bit of damage. Oh, Mike Honcho's actually in the pits. That could be very, very interesting. I don't know if Mike Honcho's going a lap down, but he could be our leader if he was on the lead lap here at the time of yellow.
I haven't seen the 42 CJMX Rose get by anybody, so that could be perfect timing for Mike Honcho. I believe he's in that 77, if I'm not mistaken. So once this leaderboard is shuffled back up, Rose, Boehner, Stout, Dan, Amore, they were your top 5. We'll have to see where Honcho fits in. And let's see. Getting set to go back green. Looks like Tripp is also into pit road. Yeah, Mike Honcho now sitting outside. You got the 3-car of Outlaw. I wonder if he was on pit road as well. Either that or stayed out, accidentally didn't hit that AA to get up and get going. He's able to stay right there in front of CJMX Rose and company. We'll have to see if they pass him on by on the high side. It looks like they will. 66, though, still hanging pretty strong. Everybody in that middle line lined up behind the 36 of Boehner, though.
Indeed, but Boehner now, he is the leader. And yet again, the story starts to fall the same exact way, perhaps, for CGMX Rose, Pete. An excellent stage 1 and 2. Now he sits in the third position, not in the lead, and trying to rebound. But now he makes a move to the inside of Stout Whiskey here for second. And Pete, I really have to wonder this because I'm not. Oh, as Honcho hits the wall. Moore got hit by the 22 as they came down. They all save it. Oh, maybe not. Big wreck. The 22.
Yeah, that's going to bring up. That's going to bring out the caution. All kinds of cars on that backstretch. Yeah, we're going to stack them up one more time. 16 laps remaining here, Ward. Right there, anyway, before the caution. So you figure we're going to go back with about 14 to go, give or take. Everybody will be good on fuel from here on out. No sense in staying out. Unless they were good to go before that, and then this is just, kind of adding a little bit of icing to the cake. But tires are very important here at Auto Club. If your car wasn't quite handling the way that you wanted it to, it might be worth it to pit if you're about mid-pack. But if you're up front, I think you've got the track position. It's best just to keep it, try to hold people off. From what I can see, the only people in the top 5 that were pitting were Stout Whiskey and Dan the Lawn Man. So 36 and the 42, they're going to stay up front, be our control cars. There's the 48 of Rowdy Jose 95, and that's going to be our top 4 with, I believe that is the 88 of Asbel to round out the top 5. So big wreck on the backstretch, stacking them all back up. We're back going green here, Word.
Even Rose again on that outside. I'm eager to see what kind of pull here he gets off of turn number 2. Rose sits on that high side, has a little bit of a run. Boehner on the bottom, but he doesn't have the help. Rowdy tries to give a shove. That helps Rose to the high side. Now Boehner has to force him up to the walls. They work into 3. Like perhaps a little bit of lag, but everyone okay. And now they work off of 4. Rose, he has the run. Give him the lead. Can he clear Boehner? We'll see. How about another comeback? Back right there, the 88 of NNR Asbill. He's 3 wide for third as they work their way into turn number 1. Leader 42 yet again, and they're all side by side from second on back.
Yeah, side by side, 95's got the 36 of Boehner to his inside. Then you got the 88 of Asbel with the 48 of Rowdy to his outside. They are side by side, 3 or 4 rows deep like they just took the green. The only difference, 42 is now up front. Boehner wants it back. Does he have the tires to do it? Or is he thinking right about now, I should have pit and left the 42 out to dry? New tires are very, very important here. 42, 36, 88, 41, and I believe we got a new player here in about P6. I'm going to try to catch up with them right now, and trying to find out. It's going to be the 21 of Parsable. That's that Red Wood Brothers machine that was looking to the inside of the 17 of the Aviator, which Aviator is starting to work his way back up into the top 5 as well.
Indeed, and Aviator's doing a very good job rebounding after perhaps what was a little bit of a mishap back in stage number 2. Again, we're really starting to see these guys get their fair share of rebounds. Now, the one thing I'm really eager to see, as we see the 3-car breakaway for the moment, what does Asbill have up here for Rose and Boehner? We knew he was strong early on. I'll tell you what, this car looks like a rocket. Maybe that's because he's in the Alex Bowman machine. But in real life, won this race earlier on in the year, but right now it's pretty much that 3-car breakaway, and Rose got a very good turn 4 because it looks like a little bit of a lag spike caused Boehner to miss the corner into turn number 3 a little bit.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'm back here right now with the 9-car of More Smoke. He's got the 14 to his inside. The 17 of the Aviator that was up in about P5 or P6 got a little bit of a door check by the 32, and that sent him all the way back. Right now, More Smoke is hunting every single bit that he can. He's got the 4-car of Natty Dread to his inside. Natty's got a little bit of help behind these guys. They were 3 wide for a moment. Now, More Smoke's got the 22 of J-Pa to his inside. This is a battle for about P15, give or take. Now the 4 right in front of the 9. 4s might have a little bit of a pull off that 43, but I don't think so with the low to no draft setting are on tonight. Moore's still trying on that high side. I don't think he's going to be able to get up there. Laps continue to wind down. That issue that caught Moore's smoke off guard might have also taken him out of his bid for 3 in a row.
Indeed, it might have taken him out of the bid. But hey, you know what? Sometimes you're going to have to lose. And one person that's learned to lose early on is our leader. That is CGMX Rose. It's still that 3-car breakaway. And the lap's winding down. Ooh, we have one car going through the grass farther back. That's, I believe, a Quinn BBSS in the 14, or rather J-Quinn's. So he looks like he's gotten back on track, no problem. Pete, a little while back, we saw a yellow. I guess the question for you is, do you think we're done seeing yellows? Because I just don't quite think so.
Well, I'll tell you what, if there's going to be a yellow to come out, it's going to be behind these top 3. They are perfectly content right now as the laps wind down just to follow the 42 of CGMX Rose. Boehner sitting P2, 88 of NNR Asbel in P3. There's only 5 laps remaining. If we're going to have a caution, it would come down to where we just got a green-white checker left to go after everybody either decides or decides just to stay out. Now, question for you, if that caution should come out from the beginning of this big pack in the back or maybe a little bit further in the back, do you pit if you're Rose, Boehner, or Asbel, or do you just say, man, I got what I got, just like in real NASCAR, where everybody from 4th on back has the option to possibly pit for those 4 brand new tires and do what they can with that traffic?
Well, I think the matter is do whatever you can to give yourself track position to set yourself up here towards the end. And really, I know this sounds weird, but whatever Rose does, if you're in this front 3, I don't think you want to really ruin your chances by maybe trying to pit too early, maybe 2-3 laps too early, or go on a strategy. Because if you do have a solid left front tire, big issue is that your right side tires may not have a full, I guess you could say, help on this long run really withstand a run like that. So I think you're only going to see 4s from here on out as we have a battle for the lead. Boehner to the outside of Rose. And Rose, again, getting a good exit off of turn 2 to close the door. I really think you need to pit with the 42. That's going to be the ultimate decider to help you win this race. I think if you pit a lap too early, it may just hurt you a little bit. But again, that also depends on how good of an entry you have entering the pits.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know if you were just watching CGMX Rose right there, but he took a very, very wide entry into turns 3 and 4 to make sure that Boehner didn't have anything for him, as now it looks like Boehner might have checked up a little bit earlier to try to get a great entry into 1 and 2. They're going to come off nose to tail, but before Boehner was to his outside, as it looks like the 42 might have got a little loose coming off of 4, but the 36 of Boehner followed him. Either that or 42 is just trying to break that draft. 36 now up the track. I think he's pretty much worn every bit of good out of those Eagle feel goods. 42 of CGMX Rose with 1 lap remaining has a very good chance of running every single stage here. Word, bring us on home with that 42, sir.
Indeed, 1 lap to go. Rose in the lead, and he did the smart thing down the backstretch last time by. He tried to break the draft, and it forced Boehner to make a mistake. Boehner has the run behind. Does he have a send into 3? Boehner tries to go hard. Does he get to the bumper? No, he can't. Rose coming off of turn 4. Boehner's going to have nothing as he breaks loose. The first time this season, CGMX Rose is victorious here at Auto Club.
Big congratulations to CGMX Rose. He's going to go ahead and notch his first win of this season. Boehner, and I believe this is going to be his first second place, and Asbel, he's had some pretty hard luck so far this season. He's going to bring it home P3. I'm pretty sure that's his first top 3. Behind those guys going to be Stout Whiskey P4, Rowdy P5, Jose in P6, God Power 7th, Outlaw P8, good finish for him. Fort Smitty also getting a good finish in P9. And the Aviator, after some issues with that wall, he's going to bring it on home in P10. Again, big congratulations, CGMX Rose, on getting the W. Guys, we're going to take just a quick moment, one more caution break before we get to interview these guys. Let's go to NNRLeague.com.
Hey NNR fans, are you looking for a way to rep your favorite NASCAR Heat preset league on Xbox Live? Look no further. Just go to NNRLeague.com, scroll down to the Zazzle tab, and see what we have to offer. From t-shirts to hoodies to clocks, we have everything you need to show your support. Thanks for being the best fans, and we hope to see you at the track repping that NNR red.
All right, so yeah, we're back. Going to go ahead and check in on these guys. Done after their cool down lap. Should be right here in the booth. Yeah, where did I see Asbel, I see CGMX Rose, and I see Boehner. Why don't you go ahead and take old Mr. Asbel, sir?
Indeed, as I'm here with NNR Asbel, our third place result finisher tonight. Asbel, for you in particular, it was a mission, an incident in stage number 2 that really cost you some track position. First off, how much of a challenge was it to get back through the field just to set yourself up for a podium position?
I hope and pray that Coe does not use this low draft thing at tracks like this again. I mean, me, it's understand this track was so hard to pass people. Like it took like 3 cars to pass 1 car in the bottom. That's how bad it was.
Now, in particular, when you looked at this race, obviously early on you were competing for the lead with Rose and a bunch of others. And you mentioned the challenges of how hard it was to pass, but how hard of a challenge was it really most importantly to stay in line and be patient, knowing that you only have few opportunities to make passes on the track?
It's just you gotta hope you don't hit that guy's bumper in front of you and make you tight where you can't turn in the corner because then the guy behind you can get right underneath you and it's just a train. So you just gotta hope you can get in there better than the person behind you, honestly.
Now, one last question. Obviously, for you, a third place result here today, and this has obviously been your strong suit early on. We've seen qualifying well and being consistent, getting there towards the end. What are your expectations moving forward throughout the rest of the season? Because obviously, we've seen that you're up there, trying to compete for wins and consistency. What are your expectations? Because I know there's some tracks upcoming that are very good for your style.
Just keep clicking off top 5s or top 3s, honestly, and just be consistent.
Are you excited for when the road courses start to come into the picture?
Oh, yes, definitely. I love whenever they come, whenever that is. But, yeah, I can't wait for them.
Indeed, well, NNR Asbel, our third place finisher tonight. And Pete, I'll hand it over to you with our second place finisher, Boehner.
I definitely appreciate it. Asbel, just real quick, sir. Any big shots for you, buddy?
To you, Pete, my man, in word.
Man of a few words. Thank you very much, sir.
Always.
And congrats on your this is your first top 3 in the Cup Series so far, isn't it?
Yeah, last week I finished 4th.
Well, there you go, sir. One more step in the right direction. Congrats again.
Mm-hmm.
And then old Mr. Boehner. Boehner, you got me, sir.
What's up, Pete?
Boehner, I should be asking you what's up, man. You were up front in the top 2, top 5, depending on what happened, as Asbel just said. If you were left out to dry and 3 or more cars were able to get on by, whether you were down low or up high, you had, at one point or another, you had to work your way back into second place, really trying all you could to get under or over CGMX Rose. We saw you try down low a couple times, saw you try up high once. Were you hoping, or did you think that if the 88 went with you, that you might have had a chance to pass him on the outside? It really didn't look like you got that fender to his inside all that often. What were your hopes in the closing laps that you were going to be able to get this done?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much got the situation I wanted. I felt like the last 4 or 5 laps of a run, I was just driving off the corners, just a hair better, which is what you really had to have to be able to even get next to a guy with this package. So I really focused on that when I was testing and setting up the car. It just took me too long to figure out how to drive it behind Rose, figure out what line he was using. But at the end of a run, I could definitely mess with him a little bit. But I'm just disappointed, man, because I really got everything I wanted there and couldn't close it out. I mean, great battle with Rose. I feel like anytime we're up there fighting for a win, it's always clean and fun and great. So sorry if I sound too Debbie Downer here, but you know, he kind of scrubbed the wall on my screen, entering 3, coming to the light, and I was just right on following him right in there. And then I scrubbed the wall, and somehow, however I scrubbed the wall, it just didn't allow me to make the corner, and that just really pisses me off that I made that mistake. So yeah, I mean, it's just you got to get every perfect inch to get a good enough run. But I think I had the car to do it, and the driver just failed.
Well, no matter how you look at it, Boehner, you're progressing right where you need it. It's in the beginning. So if you can continue on with this momentum and keep it going throughout the beginning part of this season and into the middle where you really want to gain those max points to where you're not having to worry about it a little bit later on in the season. Again, this season is all about consistency. It's not a one and done, you're a win and you're in kind of scenario. This season is all about being consistent. So don't worry too much about that, that W. It's not going to mean a whole lot. There's no, round of 16, round of 12, round of 8, round of 4, and then the championship race. If you can keep doing what you're doing, just like Asbel just said, if you can keep clicking off top 5s and top 3s, you're going to be right where you need to be at the end of the season. And if it comes down to it, I'm going to remind you of this conversation later on, buddy.
Right on, Pete. You're absolutely right, but dang it, I want to win when I think I should have won. So
everybody wants to win, man. Everybody.
Yes,
but
sir.
You know what? You kept up with the guy. You kept up with the guy that got it done at Auto Club Sisters track in the Pro League. So to come in second right now to CGMX Rose, that's saying a lot. You got to remember, Rose had 10 wins last season. So man, you're right there with him. Don't knock yourself too hard. Any shout outs for you, buddy?
Just you guys. My dad and my nephew were watching tonight, so shout out to Dad Nadler. And yeah, man, I mean, shout out to Rose once again. Good racing. I mean, most of the guys we raced pretty good up front. I think I might have lagged one time, and I think it might have got J-Paw, so I apologize to him. I just saw him fading off me on the backstretch, so hopefully that didn't ruin his race or anything or give him damage. But just hate that, every once in a while servers mess up there. Sucks. But yeah, anyways, that's all, Pete. 3 top 10s to start the season. Happy to talk to you for the first time this year. So thanks, guys.
There you go, sir. Thank you. And then, word, you get the man himself, #YoungGun, #WinWithRose. CGMX Rose, words got you, buddy.
Indeed, as we're here with the winner of CGMX Rose. And Rose, it has to be an incredible feeling after the first 2 races didn't go your way, where you dominated, just couldn't bring home the result. How are you feeling after this Auto Club win?
I'm feeling good, but I want to say one thing first. I've been in Banner's position plenty of times, and you just got to keep grinding it out, and eventually your results will come your way. But yeah, it feels amazing. Like you said, I felt like I started off the season really strong, leading a lot of laps, just couldn't close it out, and finally tonight we were able to do that.
Obviously, getting to close it out is huge, and for you, it's, like I said, a tough part where you've dominated races, but it made little bits of mistakes that have ultimately lost your chances of victory in the first 2 races. But the big thing that you've had successful this year to this point has been track position, especially with poles. How much pride do you put in qualifying every single week, trying to start on that front row to try to, better your chances in winning races?
I mean, obviously I love to start on the pole as much as I can, but it's not something I tend to think about too much. I just go out there and try and set the best lap possible, and most of the time I end up with a pretty good one. So that's just how that works.
Moving forward for you this season as well, obviously we know you were a high favorite in terms of the championship with your success, not just in polls but also in stages. But how optimistic are you now going forward, knowing that you got this first win out of the way? Because we know you personally, you had a lot of expectations, really wanted to make this the best year you've ever had in NNR.
Yeah, like you said, I had 10 wins last season, and I know the season got shortened down, but if I could, I want to equal that or better that in any way possible. And I've been able to be consistent enough to win every single stage so far, and now I finally clicked off the win. So hopefully I can keep this momentum up, and you can click off more wins as the season goes on.
And one last question. Boehner kind of mentioned it prior when Pete was talking to him, but when you broke or attempted to break the draft down the backstretch coming to the white flag, did you feel like you had the race won then when you saw him hit the wall, knowing how this draft system works more than anyone else?
I knew coming to 2 to go, I think I had it because he kind of messed up going into 3 and 4 and ran the, I think, middle lane, and it kind of gave me a gap. So I knew if I didn't make any mistakes, I'd have it there, and I just made sure I cut the draft down the backstretch. And coming back to get my arc into 3 and 4, I almost hit the wall. I kind of hooked it left a little bit, so I wouldn't hit the wall, and he kind of followed me and made the mistake of hitting the wall, which definitely sealed it there at the end.
Any shout-outs you have here for your victory tonight?
You guys up in the booth, Coe, Boehner, because we raced pretty much that whole second stage and that whole last stage together up front, just battling it out. So shout out to him and all the front guys tonight, putting on a good performance and racing pretty clean and hard the whole time.
Indeed. Well, Rose, congratulations. CGMX Rose, perfect on the track today, winning the first 2 stages as well as bringing home his first victory of the season. But now, Pete, we turn it back to you, and ideally for the final thoughts. I was an excellent race, just like how Michigan was. Not too many yellows, a bunch of side-by-side action. And again, it's the start of this season for me that really makes me more excited for as this year goes on, because we've seen a lot of clean racing, and most importantly, a lot of action-packed racing that really makes me think, to these next couple of weeks, we're going to continue to see the same exact thing week in and week out.
Absolutely. Next week, we're heading on over to Atlanta Motor Speedway, so we'll definitely see a whole lot there. Some people have kind of a little bit of mixed feelings about Atlanta, saying they can go full throttle all the way around, but I go back to last season's championship race when it was at Atlanta. It's kind of funny. We've talked a lot about more smoke. We're talking to CGMX Rose here. We're talking to Boehner here. The only other guy that wasn't part of a whole lot of conversation tonight was the Aviator. Well, those 4 were really the ones battling it out for the championship, and they really did that race right. They weren't just single line all the way on the bottom. They were duking it out everywhere possible, and I'm looking forward to a lot of that next week at throughout the three series, whether it's trucks on Tuesday, Xfinity on Wednesday, and of course the Cup races right here on Thursday night with you here, Word. But man, the next few weeks are going to be very, very interesting. After Atlanta's Homestead, another place where you can get a pretty decent draft around. It seems like draft tracks are kind of on order for about the first 6 races of the year. Looking forward to every single one of them.
Oh, I guess this also makes me want to ask my last question. And Asbel kind of hinted on his perspective that he wasn't a big fan of the low draft here at tracks like this. We see the no draft continuing to be a factor moving forward, or maybe do we see a high draft package next week at Atlanta, or maybe they just go back to normal draft? To me, I liked how it turned out tonight. I think you saw the best cars really find their way up in front, but if you had a mistake, it was really hard to rebound, and you had to focus a lot on skill as well as your setup to get around other cars. Meanwhile, if you have regular draft, there's more of an opportunity for you to play strategy and know that if you make a minor mistake, your race may not be done. So, with that being said, it's going to be interesting. No matter what they put on the track next week at Atlanta, I think it's going to be interesting. And when you look at a track, for example, like Atlanta compared to Auto Club, where we knew tires and pit strategies are going to be a factor, it's going to be very apparent next week, no matter what draft package is put into the race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Coey and the admins come up with for the draft package next week. Do they keep it on normal, knowing what they saw in the championship race last year? Do they go with a race like what we had tonight, where there is very little to no draft? And really rely, like you said, on what your setup is like to try to get back in. In real NASCAR, if you hit that wall, guess what? Your setup's going to have some kind of an issue. But in the game, when you go down pit road, you've got a chance to go ahead and fix it up in a mere 15 seconds. Real NASCAR, it's not like that. So they've got a little bit of an advantage here on Heat 5. It'll be very interesting to see what the series leaders, J-Pos, Swats, and Coey come up with after some discussions and maybe a little bit of a voting panel to see what they want to do there next week and later. But this was a phenomenal race right here from Auto Club. Whole lot of fun. Until between now and next Thursday, when you're back in the booth, where can everybody else find you? I've got you up there already as I've been Tim Moore on Twitter. What else you got for us, sir?
Well, that's where you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on twitch.tv at, twitch.tv / Burton all together. And for the most part, that's where you'll find me. Obviously, you'll see me racing around in East Spark this weekend, as well as OMA and RSR. So a good little mix for me from this point on. But that's, again, where you can find me in terms of social medias. And like I said, can't wait for next week. I mean, it's been a pleasure being here with you to open up the year, Pete. And every single race has lived up to its promise. I can guarantee that, which makes me very optimistic for the future moving forward.
Yeah, it's only going to get better and brighter. I started off with HD 2 years ago now, and it doesn't get stale. These guys put on a great race every single week, and I'm glad that you're here with me for the Cup. I'm glad Lucky Dog's here with me for the trucks, and of course I'm Rick James for Xfinity. So thank you very much for taking me up on the offer to come and hang out in the booth with me for every single one of these NNR Cup Series races. I absolutely appreciate you. But guys, that's going to be pretty much it for the Cup race, at the Xfinity race, and the truck. I definitely want to thank everybody that was here hanging out, chatting it up, keeping us all busy for all three races. We saw another great win by T Glass with FNL Bowling, or NNR Bowling, finish 1-2 again. It's just been a lot of great racing all the way around. I'm looking forward to some more. We will see you next Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern, when the trucks head on over to Atlanta Motor Speedway. As I close this out, I'm actually going to go ahead and pick up on I'm Rick James's channel. We'll send a quick raid his way. Hopefully y'all will all stick around. I'm sure he would absolutely appreciate it. But until then, again, stay away from those big crowds. Wear your mask. Be safe where you got to get to. And hopefully when all this COVID crap is done, as I keep saying after every race, we can all get back to a track and hang out together. It'll be a good time. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks again.